Libos.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week.
A little bit older than you.
I'm not touching this topic. I'm not touching it.
Yeah. Mediocre, mid-table, rabble.
So I just want to be able to talk as much
If you play a night game, he has to turn the bloodlines on.
No one would have believed that he would keep his job for as long as he had. But
Wednesday Week.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. Football is officially over with the Euros to look forward to. We've got a bit of football coming up in a bit. We've had Man City again winning the title again, and then all the Manchester United fans are all sad about it, like they didn't bore the pants off us in the 90s. Sheffield Wednesday released their retained and contract offered list, but also we have to say goodbye to some familiar faces. Tonight we're going to make sense of that with Holly, Stevie, and the Ashmaster General. And of course, don't forget to get in touch with us in the comments below. We'll be referring to them at some point during the evening. Now, I've lost the article, but Ash has prepared a wonderful infographic of who has been retained, who's been offered a contract, and who's been let go. Now, Ash, bash me up bash the graphic, Ash. Bash it, Ash. I'm trying to start a catchphrase there. So let's go down the released list there. We've got Tyreeq, Bakinson, Kieran, Brennan, George, Byers, Juan Delgado, Lee Gregory, and Reece James. Let's dissect that a little bit because there's some notable names on there. The first one being Tyreeq Bakinson, the one who's every time his name's mentioned, Stevie. I sing that song in my head. I don't know about you.
I'm singing it right now. God bless Gaz Robinson.
Now, Stevie, a player there who came with a caveat when he came from Bristol City. Talented footballer, has an attitude issue. I believe a lot of players said. I mean, have you got any real fond memories of Tyreeq?
I think he flattered to deceive at times. There were certainly occasions earlier in the first season that he came in. I think he scored a goal. I cannot remember who it was against. We won 1-0. He scored a goal in front of the Kop, I think it was. And at that point, you thought he's probably going to come in and kick on a little bit. But for all the promise that he potentially showed, there was at least as much disappointment and abject sort of nondescript performances that have led to sort of finding where he ended up being on the periphery and then sort of on the outs a little bit. And it was no surprise to see him go out on loan. And if you look at the comments from the Charlton fans that took him, he didn't pull any trees up when he was down there for the second half of this season. So coming back, we're a lot further on in terms of the style of football that we play and the personnel that we've got in now in those sort of areas and the way that we've set up under Danny Rohl. He's not going to suffer any fools gladly, which is why we've probably said goodbye to him. And coming back from Charlton after a below par sort of loan spell, it's not really a surprise to see him going.
There's an element of the fact that he was a Moore signing and didn't really, I don't know, didn't fit into the system as it were, or with just better players in that position.
Yeah, a little bit of both. I don't think. Once settled, and by rights, we didn't change the midfield too much in the latter stage of the season. It was either Bannon, Volks, or Palmer largely in that sort of that central berth there. And if you look at those, I don't think Bakinson necessarily had the dynamism. And there were calls earlier on in the season, and probably somebody will end up talking about in a little while. Momo Diaby was going to be some sort of saviour, and we sort of revered him after that first game against Preston. But as time went on, it quickly became apparent that he didn't have the legs and he didn't have that dynamism to sort of fit into Rohl's style of play. And I don't think Tyreeq Bakinson was ever going to sort of acquit himself in front of the players that we've just mentioned.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Ash, Holly, have you got anything to add about Tyreeq Bakinson? Is it a shock to you, H?
Do you know what? He did have one game where he did play really well, but then I don't know whether I feel like he looked like he was going to be real. Like he looked like a footballer, didn't he? With his 90s long legs and his 80s tash. I just really wanted him to be good. He just would have looked fantastic on a poster, wouldn't he? In the kit. Yeah. If we'd have been absolutely amazing, that's the kit people would have got. But it just didn't, did it? It would have been really interesting to see what Danny would have done with him. So, like, if he'd have been stuck with him, where would Danny have played him, or would he just have not played him? It would have been really interesting to see.
He actually just played him at the Valley, didn't he? He just played him at Charlton. That's where he played.
But like if he'd have had to, like he's had to with some of the others, it would have been good to see whether he could get a tune out of him. Whatever game it was that he played, it might have been the one that Stevie just mentioned. Whatever game it was that he played, where he played well, my dad was completely sold. But I will say
it was. I could tell you what it was. It was Southampton away in the cup when they were still Premier League. We only lost that game on penalties. We played really well, and Bakinson was an absolute man possessed. And then we thought, hang on, we might have a player here. Didn't happen.
The first clue that he was going to be shit is that my dad loved him. He had DP80 on back of his shirt. He had an Adam Proudlock flag that he used to put up. Another guy that only had a good game in the cup. DP80 put that flag on the shirt on the corner flag, and my dad was like, right, that's it, back at shirt. But he's the only person who did that. But yeah, that should have been the clue. Other than that, I can't. I liked his little task. That's all I've got to say.
Ash, what
sorry. Holly's just took home my one thing. I was going to say is Tash. That was it.
Tash.
That's it.
He had a lovely Tash. That was it. So I'm just going to make some notes here. Lovely Tash. What's the comment saying, Smash?
That Tash, you would have that Tash for. Do you know it?
Mate, I'd do it a lot if I could grow any kind of facial hair.
Yeah.
You wish, Dan. You wish. And I've just pulled the ones that have come for Bakinson. There's somebody. Who is it now?
While Ash pads and works out what he needs to say, I'll move on to Kieran Brennan, a chap who came through our youth ranks, went on loan a few times, notably, I want to say Notts County, and I think, was it Swindon? Notts County, yeah. Swindon and Hartlepool. Didn't really break into the first team. Let the guy go to further his career. I don't think I've got much to add on that. Who else is on the list now? Ash, are you going to be okay when we get to this next name? I'll let you take lead on this one.
Yeah. Well, it's thing is, you've got to look at this, and we're all like really happy Danny Rohl's going to stay and all that, and so you've got to do his decisions, haven't you? Doesn't matter who stays, who goes. If you're going to back the manager, you've got to think. So I'm happy with it. Obviously, you do have favourite players, don't you? And no doubt Stevie will be suicidal when Palmer doesn't sign in about a week's time. But you've got to, haven't you? So yeah, I think the outpouring of love on social media when it obviously finally got announced, I think everyone knew he was going to be leaving. That it just shows you how high regard he was held in by Wednesday fans. I just think he didn't do badly at the start of the season in a poor team, but everyone did. And then for whatever reason, he got loaned out, and then that's it, innit? I think if your contract's coming up to renewal and you get loaned out for the last 4 or 5 months of the season, it's a bit of a...
It's definitely a red flag, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's definitely one of them where you go, wait, what? It's a shame, actually, because during the League One season, we went on that unbeaten run before Byers got injured. He was very much an integral part of that entire, that run that we had, and then the drop in form that we had around was it March time when Ipswich came tearing up the league and Plymouth didn't seem to want to drop any points. Coincided with Byers' injury, and we were all excited to come see him back. We're in the Championship, and it didn't really settle for him. What memories have you got, Ash?
I think it was the red card. He got a silly red card in his last game. And I think that's probably what I don't know if it was the ill discipline that Danny Rohl didn't like or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, I thought he was just a great player, and we say it a lot about players, about their injury records, and you're not going to get a full 46 games out of him. But can you carry somebody like that as well now? So you're going to be having questions for all your like players. You've got to be sensible as well. I mean, yeah, I'd love George Byers to stay. I thought he could have done a job in the midfield. We are light at the minute. We have no midfielders signed to the club. They've either been left or been offered a contract. So at the minute, I would trust, obviously you've got to, that the manager's going to get backed and bring in midfielder that obviously is better than Byers. But we don't know. Did Byers want to stay? What if they offered him anything? If not, you don't know, do you? It's not always the club, is it? It could have been the player as well. Like
yeah,
with the manager as well.
think-
It's not always going to be the owner. Might say everyone's saying back him and all that, but it might be up to the person that don't want to stay.
I think there's sorry, mate. I was just going to say I think there's an element of highlighting what Ash has just said there. If push comes to shove and all things being equal, if the manager, the team or the club have allowed Byers to go, you'd like to think that there's something better coming in. And if there's something better than George Byers coming in next season, with due respect, I'm all right with that because, those 2 years in League One, he was an absolute talisman, wasn't he? I don't think it quite happened last season for him for whatever reason, but at the same time, he's going to be one of those players that goes down in folklore sort of thing. We're a way away from the legends in the mid-90s and things like that, and we're clutching at straws a little bit for cult heroes over the last 10-15 years really, but Byers has solidified himself over the last sort of 2 years before this one. He's going to go down in Sheffield Wednesday folklore as being an absolute sort of hero.
Yeah, and Sharman there with the comment, Holly. Sorry, I bet that's the right bugbear for you. People calling you Ollie, especially where you live. Comment there from Sharman. If George didn't get knack, would have won the league. Do you reckon he would have been the difference? Or I mean, Ipswich spent some money in January, didn't they? But are you going to miss him?
I don't know. I think I don't think anyone can deny that they absolutely loved him in League One. To be fair. But in those last 5 games this season, who would you have dropped for him? Like when they were all playing absolutely outstanding, who would you have dropped for him? You wouldn't have dropped any of them, would you? That last game, I wouldn't have dropped any of them. So, and I think
if it wasn't for his injury age, just on what you were saying there, we wouldn't have known that Liam Palmer could have done a job in the centre of the pitch as well as what he did.
There you go. And I think other than like Liam Palmer obviously has stayed for various reasons, we do tend to keep people longer than necessary. Like there's been loads of players that we've loved for sentimental reasons or because they were good in League One or because they were good 3 seasons ago, and we keep them until they're so bad that they're not, like they go from us to non-league or they just quit football forever, and then you think, oh, why did we do that? So we don't really normally have this issue where they leave and we still like them. Which is probably why we find it really hard.
Yeah, George Byers and Lucas Zhao are 2 people where one's left and we still like them, and the other one we've actually got some money for that we've sold on. So it's just them 2 on their own list.
Yeah. But I think with Byers, he properly bought into this club as well. Like he obviously really loves us. He's got no affinity to us from before this, but I feel like you can tell that he really loves it. And him in the away end at Blackburn, and also I guess somebody who's got something that they do after a goal helps as well, because then fans liked it. I mean, in any other context other than football, adult men saluting at another adult man is really strange. But at the football,
unless you're in the forces,
George Byers does it. Every single man's like, "Yes, sir."
It makes my bottom lip quiver now to do that. I'm like, but listen, George, thank you for your service, and I'm going to leave you with a salute. And I'm going to miss that little emoji because I'm absolutely convinced that they brought it out for George Byers. Next one on the list, we've got Juan Delgado. Ash, you went to the game at Hull City at the early part of the season, and we thought we had a player there. Yeah. It looked like he was single-handedly going to mount his own comeback in that game against a team that, had seventh place finish in the league and got rid of their gaffer. We thought we had a player there, didn't we?
Yeah, he started off all right in a really. I know we've mentioned it and everyone's mentioned it. The piss poor start to the season that we had, and it's hard to pick out any sort of player from that first dozen games but he did show glimpses of a player there, which is hard for him. It was a Chilean international at start, and I think a bit of fanfare that when he arrived, and it just hasn't worked for him, did it? I saw a couple of glimpses, like you say, Hull, and then there was the I want to say we're at Middlesbrough at home. I think it might be. See, this is it. I'm sure if he was outstanding, like Poveda was in a couple of games that he's played,
I can tell you that Jan Poveda against Millwall was absolutely bloody outstanding. Like, you know what I mean? But Juan Delgado, whole game. Yeah. That's about it.
But it's hard to do because, like I said, the start of the season, it's hard. It's a bit harsh on him. I thought he had two. I thought there was a year and a year option or 2 years. And then he's got in this mystery injury, and I still don't even know what it was that he was injured for. Because
he probably went out in Rotherham, woke up with an itch, and then couldn't play football anymore. It sounds probably what.
Oh yeah, we've all had that injury, Dan. Yeah.
Speak for yourself. Now then, does anybody, Holly, Stevie, do you have anything to add about Juan Delgado, Chilean international?
The other thing I'll say is that at the start, people thought that he was going to be like considerably better than my mind's gone.
Anybody else?
Valentin.
That's it. Thank you. I've got sunstroke, everybody. I've been out in the sun, and as you can tell, I'm too pale to do that, so just excuse me. Yes, everyone thought he was going to be way better than Valentin, and then we fell for Valentin by the end. So, in theory, maybe he'd have come good, or in theory, we all don't know what we're talking about. I don't know. One way or other.
Is there any more comments there, Ash? I see there's a lot of played him out of position.
I think that's a good point, actually, that Craig makes about him being used to replace Marv. I feel like because everybody wanted Johnson to play as well, that nobody were ever really going to warm to Delgado because people wanted Marvin back, didn't they? So whatever he did, he wasn't going to be Johnson. And I'm in the free Johnson camp, so I wanted Johnson back, to be fair. And I think also with the throw-ins was like an issue on it. So I don't think people warmed to him. And then he got a
did we have foul throws or something, didn't we?
We had one every game, didn't we?
That's weird, isn't it? It's weird in this day and age. I didn't even think that they blew him up anymore.
Brendan's put that. He's put Delgado's going on the coaching team as a throwing coach.
Well, fair enough. Right, next on the list, we've got... Oh, God, this is another sad one. Stevie, I'll let you pick this up. Now, Lee Gregory had a decent career, Millwall, Stoke, Sheffield Wednesday. Essentially took a step down to come and play for Sheffield Wednesday, but I thought was a great option for us. Played a different game to Smith. It depended and kind of came. There was times like Wild, Smith, and Dawson had for a bit where one was in and one was out. Whoever was in charge, and depending on where we were. But Lee Gregory, for me, it was nice to have a proper striker who was a proper number 9 and just an all-round top geezer, right?
Yeah, 100%. He encountered a lot of our fan base, and people will talk about the Arctic Monkeys concert in at Hillsborough Park, where he literally had a photo with every single person that met him.
Everybody thought they had like the best social media that day. They were like,
"Look what I've done!
Look what I've got!" And I was looking through Twitter X, and I'm going, "Yeah, everybody's yeah." Lee Gregory's teeth. And it looked like one of those animation slides from back in the 1920s where it was lots of different frames. And if I did it really quick on my phone, just
do you think he did an alibi or something? I promise I was definitely at the Arctic Monkeys gig.
Yeah. If you put them all side by side, they were actually running.
Oh,
But,
mate, he was not running; he was staggering.
But
Go on.
I felt, if I'm honest, I felt that the one decision that Rohl has made, and we are blessed with a manager who will be managing in the Champions League within 10 years. That's a fact. He will. He is that good. The one thing that he did that I didn't quite understand was this absolute, there is no way that I'm playing Lee Gregory for whatever reason. And then he came out and he was saying, anytime he was asked by it, Lee Gregory has continued to be a consummate professional, trained as well as anybody else, if not better, has always made himself available. He was relatively fit in comparison to everybody else. Obviously, he wouldn't have been match fit by the time we got to sort of February, March time. But he kept himself ticking over. I liked Gregory because he was a player, and the irony that we talk a lot about playing out from the back and lumping the ball forwards. He was the kind of player when our fan base are going, you've got to lump it forwards. He was the kind of player that when you go long was much better than any other option that we've got. We do respect to Smith. I think Smith's probably better in the air when he's at it. He can flick it on a little bit. But if you want somebody to hold the ball up and bring in players around him, I thought that was Gregory's sort of bread and butter. He was a different option. The only thing I can surmise based on what we're looking at is that Rohl has got a clear format in terms of age. And Gregory's a couple of years older than the rest of them, isn't he? It didn't seem like he was significantly slower than other players that we've got that played in that position. I might be wrong. They might be looking at data in training and they've gone by the numbers. The interesting thing when you think about it, though, is that we're talking about Barry Bannon, for example. By the end of next season, he'll be an age that Gregory was this year. So it'd be interesting to see what happens in a year's time when we're looking at people like Bannon, a couple of years with Palmer and so on and so forth. Are those players going to start getting the same treatment as well?
Mm-hmm. And that comment there, that hat trick against Fleetwood, I think it was
unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. I went to that game on my own because it was rearranged. It was Tuesday night. I think I got tickets off Ash. Went to the game on my own. Drove up from work on a Tuesday night. For anybody that's ever been to Fleetwood, they've got the stand that's built in front of the other stand that's no longer used. You walk into a working men's club to get into the ground. The ground is literally that QPR end. The ground is about as deep as that QPR end for you to stand on. I came out of it. We were absolutely torrid for the first half. Came out of it. That 15, 20 minutes, whatever it was, where he's got those, the goals, got the hat trick. He scored 2-1 after the other, didn't he? And that was like, thank fuck for that. Got in the car, rang the missus, 10:30 at night. I've gone round the corner. I told this story last year. Gone round the corner, seen the lights over there. It's frigging Blackpool Tower. 10:30 p.m. I could see Blackpool Tower in the distance. And I've got to drive home on my own on a school night. And I was back in work at 7 a.m.
Absolute crackhead. My favourite is those two lads coming out the toilet when he scores that. I bet they didn't wash their hands. What they needed was a Dijon Bernard gas. That would have sorted them right out. For those listening and those watching, what you might not know is that obviously you can see we've got a load of new graphics and we've changed the intros and stuff like that. Just keep it fresh, just keep it different. And we have a lot of chats amongst ourselves about trying to get any ideas to keep us going through the summer and stuff like that. And Holly's had a great idea to keep us going through the summer, and we'll drop that on you at some point in the week. But what she does, she gets these creative ideas at like 11 o'clock at night. Like what was the way you put it? Like a cat with the zoomies age. Yeah. And so when they played the game the other day, when they played the Peterborough comeback, the second leg the other day, there was a bit where Lee Gregory's goal went in it kind of went off his back or something, didn't it? And God, the poor geezer looked absolutely devastated, and he ripped his mask off, and he was furious. And do you know what? The fact that it hurt him as much as it did really, really meant something to me. All that while that's going off, Holly's telling me off because I've used the wrong shade of blue or something. You know what I mean? So I'm glad they did that. I hope they do that with the final. But would anybody like to share any more memories of Lee Gregory?
Yeah, I think the greatest. I think I put this in the chat. I think, and I said it on Saturday night when I was watching it. I think the
I know,
greatest goal.
Sorry, I've just realised that made it sound like Holly was in the room with me at the time. She called me at 11 o'clock at night to do the design work. It made it sound like we were living together. And I've just realised people are going to start gossiping. I need to put a pin in that right now. Sorry, go on, Ash.
Oh yeah, because all them 25 comments no one would have even thought of that, Dan, until you just said it.
It dawned on me. I don't want any marital discourse between anybody. Just by suggesting that she's rolled over and give me a nudge and gone, that's the wrong shade blue, that.
What do you mean we all live in TWW Towers? We're all
That's it. We're
like
all
the
in
boys.
yeah. Well, I was going to say that the best goal Lee Gregory scored was one that he didn't even touch, and it was the dummy for Reece James's third goal.
Yeah.
Now, I would never understand a player and how they think and things like that. And for an experienced pro like Lee Gregory to have the wherewithal just to leave the ball for a player who's never even probably had a shot on target, Reece James, that was his own first and only goal for Wednesday. To be there and be aware of it, I thought that was the best goal of the night, mate. Not for obviously the goal, but it's just the whole build up for it, and it was just for Gregory, and I think that was, and then obviously for the final as well, the bit of burst of pace, turn, and then a little chip in for Windass. I think it was brilliant, really good.
That's it. When he used to play against us, I used to hate Gregory. I'm not gonna lie, I used to hate him because he used to always play well against us, and I think the stuff like that, the dummy. I know all the younger managers like the stats, but that's not a stat, is it? The dummy, because he didn't do anything that you can put a stat on. And yeah, they could say, well, he's over this age. And I think the frustration for Wednesday fans is that they brought in other players to do what Gregory does, but to a lesser standard. There was times where we're watching Ashley Fletcher, and I know a lot's been said about that, but we're watching Ashley Fletcher try and hold the ball up. And we know that Gregory can do that. And we're watching other people try and do stuff that we know that Gregory can do better. And maybe Gregory just had what the stats can't tell you. And yeah, he is older. He's definitely older. But that goal at Barnsley, like Ash has just described, he got the assist for that. And beyond his age, yeah, fair enough. Like at some point you've got to stop. But I feel like we would have been a better team with him in the squad this season for whatever part he could have played. I mean, we brought Smith back in, but of the two, I'd rather have had Gregory, I think.
Scored the first goal of the season, didn't he, as well?
I tell you what, Holly, in fact, all of us, is it not devastating that we're talking about Lee Gregory like he's a million-year-old and he's younger than all of us sat here on this day?
How old is he? Wait, I want to know how old he is now.
He's 35.
Oh.
I was going to say he scored the first goal of the season. Can you name who scored the second?
It was probably about 3 months later.
This season.
Gregory scored the first. Who scored the
Delgado.
Bingo.
Was it? Did he score against Southampton?
Delgado at Hull.
Against Hull.
Delgado at Hull.
Was that the opening game?
Gregory scored against Southampton, and then we went to Hull away and lost 4-2, weren't it?
Oh, yeah. That's right. Sorry, I was trying to think of the League Cup game in the middle of it, but
for Gregory, for someone to have a song as well that really took off, and I don't care where it came from, and we always say about nicking other people nicking ours and all that. Exactly that, Stevie. Yeah, so Stevie's holding up a picture with the words for his strikers on number 9.
Did you ever find yourself just humming it? Like through the week, did you just walk around?
That away end at Milton Keynes was just the best thing ever.
I was just about to say, on a personal level, that Saturday night game was it was one of the first games the first away game that Molly had ever been to, and she to this day is convinced that MK Dons is still the same size as Wembley because of the atmosphere and everything that was there. And we went in and we ended up staying overnight. We stayed in the hotel there and we got food and we went in, and at the time she was still 8, I think. And the noise was just ridiculous to the point where I thought after 5 minutes I was going to have to take her out because I thought she'd be too scared of it. But she was holding her ears and so forth. But all you could hear was a Gregory song. And at half-time, once she'd settled down and we'd scored the goals and we'd played in the first half, we'd got out onto the concourse at half-time, and she was absolutely mesmerised. And that song and that experience, the reason that I get to spend the days with my daughter that I do, that mean a lot to me, sort of personally, it's things like that make you fall in love with this football club. And she will remember that. And in 10 years' time, we'll still be talking about MK Dons being 70,000 seat stadium, and she'll still think it's up there. I
had Jeff Hatcher's daughter on my shoulders for the duration of that song, and that concourse just carried it.
It's because it's a new stadium and it's metal. It just makes the noise, doesn't it? And that was it. And she and it's on 2 tiers. You can see up and down, and it was great. And everything that you hear about Lee Gregory, everything that you see, all the stuff you've seen on socials that we've alluded to, he just seems like a thoroughly nice guy. And again, a little bit like Byers, we'll go with our good graces, and we'll hold a special place in Sheffield Wednesday fans' hearts for a long time to come.
Absolutely. Ash, wrap it up with the comments there. So we've got Craig who's gone with whoever gets the number 9 has a lot to live up to, that's for sure. Which
it's got history anyway, that number 9 shirt, hasn't it? So
I was going to say we haven't filled them shoes in about 30 years. Well, probably about 25, I think now, isn't it? There's no doubt that our number 9 should have had more game time. Time to go though, and I understand time to go, but there is that question of why did Ashley Fletcher get more game time than Lee Gregory? It must be an element of wages or something like that, I assume. That's
where all the stats wankers come in, isn't it? Oh, you got to do all this. You got to do all this. Is this? But as football fans watching it, we have our opinion, don't we? Saying Gregory can hold the ball up, it sticks to him like Velcro. Can't stat that, can you? But no, actually,
I dare you.
A lot better. Yeah. But there we go.
All right, now last one on the list, Holly. I know you're going to be particularly devastated about it because what George Byers is to Ash, Reece James is to yourself. The diminutive bloke that looks to me like he out of hours. He wears a tweed jacket with elbow patches on it because he looks like a substitute headmaster. Like a deputy head. Like the one that the headmaster gets to have all the uncomfortable conversations with the wronging kids. You know what I mean? That it looks like that geezer. Like you're going to get sent to Mr. James's office. That type of geezer doesn't look like a footballer at all. I know that's normally Steve's work, but but go on. I'll let you pick this up because I assume you've got like a 90-minute speech for it.
Well, I'll keep it brief. I just think he deserved to have more of a chance because the bits that we saw of him. Some of the passes that he played and then some of the runs that he went on were exactly what I thought that we might want to use this season. I feel like when Cisco came in and put together his back line and Reece James lined up alongside them in training, he probably thought this ain't going to be the squad for me. But I thought when Danny came in, he might have at least tried him. Especially in that period of time where we didn't have anyone just in front of the defence, I thought that he could have at least tried him there. I think he had played as a midfielder before. He had some good attributes, as we saw with the goal that he scored. I know you said that was his only shot, but he got up there, didn't he? And I just thought that he had more to give. In theory, you could say Black tried him in the Championship and they thought he weren't good enough, and that's why we ended up with him. So you could say that, and you could say what chance as a defender who's my height got in the Championship. But if we're going to play it out from the back and we're going to play to the strengths of the players, I feel like he had more strengths than he had weaknesses. And I really, 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 really think that he looks like a nice guy. And Stocko said that he's an angel, and I truly believe that he's an actual angel. So
Here we are. Stocko. My friend Stocko.
Stevie, do you think with Reece James, and I know there's probably a lot more to it, but I think 80% of why we didn't see much of him this season and why he's inevitably gone is just because Marvin Johnson was by far better in that position than what.
But can we have had them both on that side?
I don't know. Given because we tried 4 at the back and we got our ass handed to us under 3 different managers in the last year, right? And every time we've ended up having to go 3 centre backs and 2 wing backs, and that might not have been Reece's cup of tea, because I feel like there's a point where Chisco came in. He said to Johnson, "Where do you play?" And he's gone left wing back, and he's gone, "Well, bollocks, son, I'm going to play 4 at the back." And then and he's gone, "Well, hang on a minute, I'm top crosser from last year. I've got the most amount of assists. Who the fuck are you talking to?" And all of a sudden, he's trained on his own in Dubai. Do you reckon that there's been an element of that conversation with Reece James? Like, you know what I mean? He's gone, "Where do you play? Left back." "Well, I don't play that position, so thanks for your feedback." You know what I mean? I don't.
Well, he played. There were times where he played wing back last year, wasn't there? When if Marv was out, or the situation brought it up, but or brought the need for that to be the case. I think it goes to the point that Holly made earlier on. If you look at the performances of the players that largely, took those berths in the team towards the end of the season, Marvin Johnson was probably one of our more consistent players. Over a period of time. All right, he dipped to a 6 every now and again, but pound for pound, since he came, but under Rohl, since he came in, he's definitely top 3, top 4. So what are you going to do? Where would we have played Reece James? And I mean that with all the respect in the world. I had, he's another one like Gregory, like Byers, had some probably not over the same sort of period of time, but he will always be looked upon with that nostalgia from the Miracle of Hillsborough, from Wembley, from that, the things that he did, and the way that he carried himself. But I'd probably, with all due respect, I'd probably suggest that where we want to be under this manager, he's probably just not quite good enough to be.
Are you going to take that, Holly? Holly, are you going to take that?
I might agree with that.
So, Stevie, I would probably have suggested that. Hold on to your hat, Stevie, that in the defensive midfield position, maybe he might have done a better job than someone else who got put there, rather than in Marvin Johnson's position.
Well, you can bring that all you want. All I'm saying is that one player played and the other one didn't, and now he's been released. So what are we going to do?
Jot that down. Ash, what are we?
Stevie 1, Holly 0.
Go on, Ash.
It's Sharman's, but it's a big ask to displace a fired up name of like the lad though, and wish him well. Yeah, he didn't offend, did he? And what I've heard, I think I put it up earlier, but John spent some time chatting to James at the playoff final, and generally was a nice guy and loved Sheffield. So yeah, he was here for a year, signed into his contract, and then obviously the manager changed, then changed again. I think he signed. Did he sign 2 days after Moore left, something like that?
Yeah.
Or it got announced 2 days after. So a bit of hard luck for him, isn't it? Signing for one manager and ending up with like 2 others. But hey ho.
Poor sod. Right then. So that was the released players. That's the players that we've let go. Once again, I'm going to salute for George Byers, and big shout out for Gregors and Reece James specifically on that list. Not so much Tyreeq Bakinson. The middle column. Say again, H.
We're sad for Tyreek's tash.
Tyreek's tash. I'm going to miss that. I'll give that a Georgie Byers salute.
The song. I'm going to miss the song.
Yeah, I'm still going to sing that at some point. Now, we've exercised options on Callum Patterson and Marvin Johnson. Marvin Johnson, of course we have. Holly, I know CP is one of your faves.
Luckily, we ain't got Blair on anymore because he hated him. But I can't understand that at all. I know people think that like the opposite of what I was saying about Tyreeq Bakinson looking like a footballer, and I know Patterson really doesn't. But I don't understand why you wouldn't want to keep him. I'm guessing he's not going to play every week next season, or even every other week. But that Norwich game, if he brings that every time you bring him on, then I would take that. Even the
Peterborough game as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I rewatched that again, and it did highlight. You didn't see it, did you, originally? But yeah, it did play well. But I mean, Johnson, he wanted to leave, didn't he? We're at Ipswich. He apparently threw his teddy out and all that.
Why did he want to go to Ipswich?
Yeah, because that would have turned out well, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sideways move, I'd say.
And he's obviously turned it round, got in the team, and been pretty integral, hasn't he, in the last few months? Pato for me, yeah, I think just have a Pato in the squad. What is he, 28 now? Still young, isn't he?
I feel like he's looked 45 for the entire time he's been with us, and I'm swear to God he's been 28 for the entire time he's been with us. He's like one of those. Have you ever seen that documentary on Netflix right now about that geezer who pretends to be a footballer to swindle all those Love Island contestants? If you've not seen it, it's an absolute banger. And he's one of those African footballers that just lies about his age. Like, you know, when he's saying he's like 15, 16, he's like 20. Right.
Roger Miller.
Yeah, like Roger Miller. Not like me, no. I just have a lady in Tabard and with a syringe to try and stave off the aging process. So yeah, Jono and Patterson are going to be with us next season at least. And John's right there, Ash, on the comments. Every squad needs a Pato. You know, every time I get gobby and loud in at work, and I go, look at that person there. You know, they're really boring. They're really vanilla. They're really, you know, they're not dynamic. And they always said to me, "Hey Dan, you don't need a team of Wayne Rooneys," which is just be an absolute nightmare. For some reason, that's stuck with me the last 20 years. And you do need a few Dennis Irwins every now and again. So just like with Callum Patterson, you don't need it. Not everybody's a Marvin Johnson. Not everybody's a Barry Bannon. Craig Hayward's gone with not being Pano's biggest fan. Did you not want to read that, Ash?
Sorry,
thanks, man. No, not being Pano's biggest fan, but I can't really fault his 100% effort he always puts in. Always worth the squad place. I agree. Until somebody better comes along. Wickerman's gone with Pano is a beast when we have to go to plan B and start launching it. That, for me, is his best asset. I think he wins his headers, holds up the ball well. I think that's his best asset. I think when we have to play a certain type of football, it's Pato time. And you've got to do the point now. That celebration at the Miracle of Hillsborough.
That's gone, and it's that now. But isn't like we know what plan A is for the manager. Mm-hmm. And the plan B, we've been guilty of, we're just going to launch you up. But if you know you've got somebody on the pitch, like was Norwich, weren't it, where Smith and Pato both come on, and that plan B obviously worked, yes, but to have somebody who you know is going to be able to implement that plan B, yes, we know he's just launching it up, but he does track, he does jump, he does challenge, he hustles, and we know it's a championship, but it has worked for him.
I think it's doing him a disservice to say that he just holds the ball up and like heads it, because he also in that game brought all the players up to his tempo, didn't he? When he came on and he was straight up in Norwich's grill, and all the other players thought, oh, well, that's what we should be doing. If he hadn't come on, even if he'd have just brought Smith and somebody else on, we wouldn't have had that same lift in the team at all. So it's not just that he like holds it up; he just brought everybody up to his level of whatever that is.
Shithousery.
Yeah. And he knows how to shit house. Right then, so we've offered contracts now. Obviously, we can't go into a lot of detail about this. You know, a lot of it is going to be speculation. For example, Barry Bannon, Josh Windass, Will Volts, Cameron Dawson, Dominic Iorsa, Liam Palmer, and Deschamps Bernard have all been offered contracts by the club. Now, going down that list, there are a couple there that I assume have been offered reduced terms, or they've been offered better terms elsewhere. Notably on there, for example, Cameron Dawson's been replaced twice this season, and we've offered him a contract. So one would assume that we've offered him reduced terms, whereas Deschamps Bernard has probably attracted the eyes of somebody better, maybe even a Premier League club, to entice him away. On that list, Stevie, Who do you think's going to stay and who do you think's going to go? I'm gonna put you all on the spot with that, and I'm going to start with Stevie.
Bannon stays, Palmer stays. I'm surmising Iorfa and Volks will stay. Dawson potentially will stay if he's happy with what will be his revised role. I'd be interested. I'd assume Dawson will be a kind of player that will be looking at top end League One if he gets any offers, bottom end Championship. Is there somebody going to come in and offer me a guaranteed number one shirt? Bernard is too good for us, and I think he's played in fits and starts largely, but the quality is there, and I think he will go on to have a Premier League career, unfortunately. And I'm sad. I understand, and I think I said in our chat on the weekend, the Bernard signing is one of those, and we kind of agreed. I think it was us three, if not Dan and Ash. We were talking about the fact that we wouldn't begrudge Bernard going on. He's coming on a year's contract to put himself in a shop window potentially. That's what it seems to be, for people to come and have a look at him. And if he's done well in what is a struggling team, and he goes on to go and play at a higher level or play for a team that is guaranteed to be challenging at the top end of the Championship, he's got no affinity to Sheffield Wednesday beyond employment. So I've got no issue with that. Necessarily, I'll be sad that he goes, and I'd want him to stay. And I said, for me, he's probably our player of the year. But if he's going to go and better himself, then that's what it's all about. And it almost becomes that Brentford model where we're getting players in to put them in the shop window. The one thing that we didn't do is we didn't give him a 2-year contract or a 3-year contract and try and get a fee for him. And that's what we need to start doing. So maybe not.
There's an element.
I wouldn't say it's our fingers being burned, but maybe. Potentially, but the learning there is to say, look, if we're going to do this and we're going to use Sheffield Wednesday Football Club for what it is at the moment, and it needs to be to get that ilk and that standard of player to come and play for us for a period of time, so that we can try and get a fee out of them, then we need to stop thinking with our hearts and start thinking with our heads a little bit and be a little bit more pragmatic about it all and sort of say, look, yeah, I've said it, but we need to start looking at it and not
You've
get...
met Sheffield Wednesday fans before,
Yeah.
right? Sorry, say that again. I'm just going to have to make a note of that.
48 minutes, Dan, for the clip for tomorrow on Twitter.
Yeah, we're gonna have to start using.
It's going on the credits. It's going on the credits. Get rid of the floodlight comment. That's going on the credits. But we've spent a lot of time tonight talking about Gregory and Byers and Reece James, and we do get emotionally attached to players. That's what football fans do. Maybe it's time for us, in terms of a progression with all the things that are going on off the pitch, maybe we need to start looking at it and saying some of these players are going to be a little bit more short-term. And I said last week, if Bernard goes, it wouldn't bother me as much as not being able to retain other players that I'd rather keep or rather re-sign, because I think we've got opportunities and possibilities in other positions that might help us a little bit more. But I foresee him going. And the other one's Windass, isn't it? That's up in the air. I'd like to think he would stay because of what he's shown in the last sort of month or so, is that regardless of what you think about his performances and his injuries, if we can make it work when push comes to shove, he's our big time player, isn't he? He's our big game player. Blackburn, Sunderland, Wembley, the guy can be frustrating at times for various reasons, but when the need calls, he's the guy that shows up.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of speculation as well about, well, this geezer's clearly going to lose, and this geezer's on his way out. We even get it with the manager. So if McKenna goes to this place, they're going to replace him with Danny Rohl, and then we're going to get Rosinha, and all these people just make these stories up in their head. You know what I mean? Like, here's Rosinha, who finished 7th in the league in a very strong championship team. A very strong championship season, and everybody's going, well, they're going to get Danny Rohl, who finished 20th. At the end of the day, stats is stats, right? And I know he's turned us round, but I'm trying to play it down, lads. Leave me alone. I'm gonna come to you on the contract list. Who do you think's going to sign, and who do you think's not?
So I think with the ones that we've offered, pretty much all of them are part of that chunk of players that we see on like the Inside Match Day that are all quite obviously friends and quite obviously part of something a bit bigger than this is my job. And Marv as well is part of that, I think.
Yeah.
So it might be a case of if one goes, they all go, or like.
Are you thinking House of Cards type of thing? Right?
See who's invited to the party before you accept. They might like.
Do you know what? That's interesting. I didn't know that was a thing till about 2 years ago, where where they reply back with "Who's going," and I just thought, "What? Do you not like somebody? Is that why you want to?"
It's you that they wanted to see if. That's why you didn't know about it.
That's why, yeah. That's it. Shit. I'm gonna make a note of that.
Yeah, I think they. So, like, if say Bannon says that's it, then they might all think, well, that's it. Or if they all get the band back together and they all come back, then I think that'll be fine. But then with Bannon, I really did feel like if we'd have gone down this season, that would have been a really shit way to end his time with us. But we have stayed up. So does he think, do you know what? We've had 2 seasons in a row that have been absolutely brilliant. Do I stay and see how good we are? Or do I just go now? And I'm going to call myself out because absolutely ages ago, I said that Barry Bannon didn't give a crap about this club and was going to leave.
When? When did you say that, you crackhead?
When we got relegated before, it wasn't just Bannon, it were all of them. I had a bit of a rant, which is not like me, obviously, about how none of them give a crap about us going down and none of them were going to play for us in League One. And that's why we lost and went down.
Wow.
And then they all stayed and proved me wrong and got us promoted again. And then we had 2 seasons that have been the best thing ever. So obviously I've got my finger on the pulse, and they all showed me up and decided that they loved this club. So on that basis,
they all showed me up. They played your rant in the changing room before and gone, this cowbag, let's absolutely prove her wrong.
Maybe you've got me to thank for it that they all stayed just to prove me wrong. But like I say, I think if one stays, they'll all stay, and if one doesn't, then they might go. With Bernard, I do think he is too good for us, but in theory, is there an argument to say that maybe Danny could convince him that we might be quite good next season? Like, had there been another 10, 15 games, where would we have finished? Like,
I think if Danny Rule's still here, do you think they might be waiting until it's announced?
That's the thing, Ash, isn't it? That's the thing, isn't it? We're a lot of this conversation. It's great for a podcast, and it's great to stream, and it's great to put out there. But the bottom line is, we don't know where we are until we know what's going on with the manager. And I think that it becomes a domino effect almost, doesn't it? Because what we're now looking at is the manager stays, the manager will have gone, I will stay if I've got the assurances that I need from the chairman.
The manager's going absolutely nowhere.
Yeah, but also
I'm going to make a note of it
now. We're doing the contract now.
But this is what we're saying, isn't it? What we're saying here is, if the manager's going nowhere, then this club is a lot healthier than we believe, because the manager's not going to stay and work with the chairman on the historical notions that the chairman's had and the historical behaviours that the chairman's displayed. If Danny Ruhl is staying next season, it's because he's had conversations with the chairman and gone, right, I can operate under these conditions, or I can operate and I will tell you what I want. And if you want to keep me because I'm the best thing that's ever happened to you, Mr. Chansiri, then you need to give me free rein. And if that is the case, then whatever happens player-wise, and I'll say it, if he wants rid of Palmer, Palmer can go.
Yeah, but
that's where I am. Whatever he says, whatever he does. Sorry, Holly.
We've offered you're all right. We've offered them contracts now. So Danny's had a conversation with Dijon Bernard about whether he wants to stay or not. Convinced him that we're going to win the league. It's all the best thing ever. Danny's going to stay. He ain't gone, do you want to sign a contract? But I don't know if I'll be at Sunderland, because if he really wanted it, he'd say, I'll offer you a contract here, but let's both go up to Sunderland, wouldn't he? Like, they both got to go on the basis that what they're saying is true and Danny's going to stay. He might go in a month's time.
Palmer can go. Clip
John
that. We're on it, John.
I didn't mean it, Liam. I didn't mean it.
If anybody drives a Tesla, it's that double horn beep to record the last minute. We've got it. We've sorted it out. Now listen to
I didn't mean it.
Just based on what Holly was saying there, because I think she touched upon it, and I think she might be right. I cannot in the world of sports see a conversation like this. Deshaun, why don't you fancy staying on next season? And like Holly says, but I don't know if I'm going to be here. Deshaun Bernard is not going to reply back. Well, if you're not staying, I'm not staying. It goes like this. Deshaun, do you want to stay next year? Well, how much are you paying me? X. All right, sound. Tick. That's it. Deshaun Bernard is not going to choose his career on Sheffield Wednesday based on whether Danny Rohl stays or goes. He wouldn't give two shit. And I know it sounds like a bit of Simon Jordan politics where I just go, well, it depends what the money is. You know what I mean? But that's how football works. And bear in mind as well, Danny Rohl has still not had longer than what we are now, 5 months in the top job. There is no way, shape, or form he's going to go now, pulling off what he's pulled off, and being able to have a summer under himself, under his own steam, in order to build his credibility and his his portfolio, as it were. Right. So you've got on one hand you've got let's say Sunderland as an example. Right, they're looking for a manager. What's available? We've got Danny Rohl who finished 20th. We've got Rosinha who finished 7th, and he's free now, which means we don't have to buy him out of his contract. You know what I mean? We got 4 million for Steve Bruce, and still manages to shit that up the wall. I don't know what happened to the money there, and then got done for cheating not long after. But Danny Rohl ain't going nowhere. It makes no fiscal sense unless you've got deep pockets like Ipswich have. For Danny Rohl to go, and like someone said in the comments who's moved to the area, it just wouldn't work like that. Because we've got a good manager, we're sat there going, looking in our own four walls. We're not thinking outside the box. We're just sat there going, well, we've got a good manager. Everybody's after him. You're all after me. You're all after me, manager, and he's mine. You can't have him. Like there's not another 23 in the league, and 19 of them finished higher than Danny Rohl on paper. So let's not fart around the pool. Come on now. Ash.
Yeah. Hello.
Talk to me about these contracted players. I want to hear your thoughts because you've just been doing the comments, bless you, and I want to hear what you've got to say about it because I've just gone full Simon Jordan.
No, I'm all right. Yeah, so I think reduced terms for some of them. So for Dawson, if he wants to stick around, I can't see him wanting to stick around, to be honest, because like I said in the group chat, if you sat there on the bench and we've brought a 19-year-old in to take number one and be there, yes, he's on loan from Brighton, a Premier League team, but you're 29 now, is he, Dawson? 28? And a 19-year-old's coming up. 28, 29 is prime for goalkeepers to get into their thing. So if you're not a first-choice keeper now, then it's time to move on. But if he wants to stay, because he's a Wednesday lad and everything, so it'd have to be reduced terms because it's money, isn't it? So we just gotta try and save money and splash it where we can. So I'd do reduced terms for Bannon and Palmer. And Palmer, but the thing is, Palmer's not going to be on a lot of money anyway, is he? So it's like, because I can't really. I'm just looking at how many games because we have really got to improve this squad.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it wasn't good enough this season, the squad. Plainly. We finished 20th just. So we have got to massively overhaul it, I think. And if the owner, and I don't know, he's got no money, then we'll have to put some costs somewhere. We're wanting to sign Pervader back, or the fans are, aren't we? But look, Pervader and Ugbo, who's going to cost some money from Troyes because they've gone down. Windass, would I offer him another contract? Yes, I would, but I don't think he will. Will Vault, I think he's shown that he can mix it in the Championship, and I don't think he'll be on that much money. So, Deshaun Bernard, I would love him to stay, of course, but everything everyone else has said, I can't add to it because it's true. Like Stevie said, we said it in the chat. He said that if we'd have offered him 1+1 or 2 years, then it'd be great. We'd get a couple of quid for him. But I've got no ill feeling to him. I think he's done the right thing for him, and I'm all right with that, like Stevie said. So Dalmayofa, I think he's proven in the last couple of months that he can play at championship level. I had some suspicions about him, but I think he's been steady enough, and his pace is always. You've got one thing that just is your thing, and his pace will get us out of trouble, and it has done.
That means big and sexy as well. Let's not forget how sexy he is. I mean,
the thing is about Iorfa, I think he's better when we're better. Like in League One, I really didn't like him at all. But when we're better, he gets. So I think if we're going to be a little bit better than we were last season, I think it'll suit him a bit more.
Let's hope. Let's hope.
You were going to say something about my accent then.
Nearly.
Can I just make one point about the position that we finished?
Go on.
It comes with the caveat that we started under Chisco. And I know there's been a lot of talk about us finishing 20th, and we've got to nail our colours to the mast with the whole Danny Rohl is a manager who's finished 20th in the league. But in actual fact, Danny Rohl's a manager that if the league started when he came in, I think he finishes about 7th with the squad that was bottom of the league by however many points. And that's just something to sort of put on the radar there. I
agree with you, Stevie. I don't get me wrong, right? I agree that there's a lot more nuances to it as well. But what got Xisco the job over Danny Rohl in the summer was that Xisco's been promoted out of the championship and he's not had the big job before. Now Danny Rohl's got the big job and he's contracted in. That contract, if he moves on, will cost somebody a lot of money. He's still got 2 years left to run on it. You know what I mean? And there's a geezer who's finished 7th in the league that had a pretty average squad, I thought. Whole City finished. And he's free right now. Go get him.
No,
you know what I mean?
That whole squad should have finished in top 6, mate. The players that he brought in.
I'm totally on board with you, and I hope you're right. And I want that to be the case. I don't want anybody talking about our manager. I don't want anybody, coming in and sort of, raising his stock any higher than it already is because of the work that he's done. My thing is he is literally the most pivotal thing that we've had at this football club in 30 years. And I think is it Dunsby Owl, I'll credit the Twitter handle, posts a lot of sort of nostalgic historical stuff on X. And today was the 30th anniversary, I believe, of or on this day in 95, Trevor Francis went, didn't he? And we got rid of Trevor Francis because Trevor Francis wasn't good enough. And if I remember rightly, without looking, he finished 7th twice, and we brought David Pleat in. We finished 7th in the Premier League. And that wasn't finishing 7th in the Premier League and not getting to a cup final and not getting into Europe wasn't good enough in 1994-95. So we got rid of him, brought David Pleat in.
That's ambition for you, Stevie. That's ambition for you,
But the thing is, since those sort of days, if you look at everything over the grand scheme of things, and I know he's only been here for a minute, Danny Rohl, for me personally, I genuinely believe is the person or is the best thing that's happened to this club since that era.
Oh, yeah. And I tell you what it is. It's like when you look back at some old photos and you go, I really thought I was fat in that old photo. I'd love to be that fat now. You know what I mean? I do it regular. Blair's been on. And Blair, big shout out to the backroom staff as well. Blair said, I think it's a team effort. I believe Danny's backroom staff is just as important as him, which I completely agree with. Chris Powell has been, the fact we've fallen in love with a geezer of Chris Powell's position. I couldn't tell you who ever had that before at the club, if I'm honest, as much as we love Chris Powell. But let's move it on. So we've got to... We've got some other business. So as part of Holly Zoomies at 11 o'clock at night and a late night phone calls to talk about Shades of Blue, we're going to be launching the 30-day SWFC challenge. In each one of those boxes, we're going to put up a question of the day. And, we're going to want you to answer them. And hopefully it should garner some hot discussion while there's no football on, or at least until the Euros start. When's the Euros? Early June, so it's during most of the Euros 15. We're going to be doing it. And the interesting thing is that for a week of those Euros, Ash and I are in Germany at them, and one of us has got to try and remember to post it during that week So that's going to be nice, isn't it, to see how much we drop the arse out of that. And I tell you what, Holly, I'm glad you chose that blue for the background. You've done really well. That decision was made at 11:15 on a Sunday night. So, any other businesses where I come to you, Stevie? I believe.
Many thanks to those people that have got involved, supported, and jumped on our Last Man Standing this year. It's been great. We've had a couple of rounds of it. Somebody won it round one quite early with a bold decision, and it's gone. And just for the benefit of people that might have been looking from a distance, we've ended up freezing it over the summer. We've got 5 people left in, and they're going to start again next season. In the meantime, we are looking at launching a Euro sweepstake. Again, just a bit of fun. I know that there are people that are like-minded that are out there that would potentially want to just drop in a £5 with a chance to win £100. There are 24 teams, full disclosure. We will keep 20 quid, and that's going to go towards a scarf or part of a shirt, or a ticket or two for a couple of kids next season. We don't go big all the time, but we're trying to sort of bring back a little bit of money, and that's why we do what we do. But at the same time, if there's an opportunity for somebody to win £100 by putting in a £5, I think that'd be great. We need to iron out.
Can I suggest that we buy, those plastic sets of keys that we do for toddlers? If we get them for Holly, if we spend the 20 quid on them, so when it gets to about 11 o'clock at night, we can just jangle the, she get a fella to just jangle the keys and,
Can you just tell me who the shittest team that's going to be in the sweepstake is? Because without fail, that's who I always draw in a sweepstake.
Yeah.
Whoever is the team next time.
Poland. I always get Poland.
Albania. The current plan is we are recording tonight on the 20th, so 27th, 3 weeks tonight. We're going to look to draw. It'll be the Monday before. What are you looking at?
Someone's put a comment there saying, by the way, I've just joined you by the pool from Florida, so you're obviously worth the listen. I mean,
yes, Jay Blogs.
Yes,
but also bon you.
3 weeks tonight. The weather's on. We'll be drawing the teams for the people that enter. We'll put the information out on our socials probably tomorrow night. Mm-hmm. Similar sort of setup to the Last Man Standing. Just drop us a £5. Your name will go into the draw. We are transparent in everything that we do. I'd say that. On the posters, you'll see the Be Gamble Aware stuff. If this isn't something that you need to be stressing about, and it is a £5. But for some people, when we say it's only a £5, for some people it's a £5. If you don't have the means to do it, don't do it. We want 24 people to come and enter. It'll be first come, first serve, and we're probably going to dip out of this one while we get the interest from the people on our social media. But it's there. Keep an eye out for it.
Yeah, unless you do want someone to take the shittest team, and then
then Holly, you're more than welcome to come and join in. Ashley, do you have any other business? There's normally some crazy harebrained scheme coming out of you.
No, mate. No, I've had a couple of days off. I've had some ideas, so I'm excited for the next coming season. Some of them are a bit out there, but hey, why not? It's a laugh, innit?
I tell you what, just to give you a bit of behind the scenes chat about the way Ash's brain works. So, for example, we had the really successful Easter egg drop back in March. Amazing, 650 odd eggs for charity. That's incredible. That would rank a number 4 on the Ash mentalometer in terms of how ambitious an idea it is. That's about 4 out of 6, 4 out of 10, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, 100%.
And then.
If any of these come off, then I would probably be sad. Smug as anything.
My favourite thing is getting a message off Ash. I've had an idea.
Oh God!
And I just go right.
As well.
I've had an idea.
Ash gets some while he's supposed to be at work. It's like
but then he goes, and then the response to that is, right, Ash, how's this going to work? He's like, not a clue. That's where you come in.
I keep saying I'm the ideas man. I am not a
not logistics guy. You're not Eddie Stobbart. So there you are. Not Eddie Stobbart. Just one last thing to talk about is the Fantasy Premier League. I believe we were running one of those, Stevie.
We did. We ran a Fantasy Premier League. Full disclosure, we'll call this the test year. I need it's all on me. I need to push the people that run the socials a little bit more. And I think now that we've relaunched the Tat Shop, we'll go back into that and offer monthly prizes next year. And just keep that going. Manager of the month, little bits like that. It's not going to be a monetary thing. I don't envisage it being anything around prize money or anything like that. All it's going to be
is
is
EFL one coming, isn't there? Aren't Sky running EFL one next season?
Yeah,
so, let's get on that.
Yeah, that's the other thing we're going to look at. So we've got a couple of things that we need to work out. But as we've had a comment tonight, I didn't want to ignore Wickerman and say that we weren't going to talk about it. I ended up finishing on exactly the same points as my little sister, which is incredible.
Last time I did fantasy football, I don't even want to say because I can just tell. I had a Derby defender.
And was that 2008 when they got absolutely battered?
Obviously, yeah. I went all in on someone really good, and then I had nothing left, and I had to go for a Derby defender. And I think he actually got more points for me when he were injured than when he played. So,
yeah. Yeah, when he was subbed off and he couldn't concede like 4 goals. That's it. What's that comment there, Ash?
Sharman's put Ash is the Hannibal of this A team. Guessing Holly is BA, Dan's the face. Which one? And Stevie is a howling mad Murdoch.
I can't disagree with that. Sharman, thank you for not going down the obvious racial connotations. Easier to do there. That's actually fair play. But thank you for calling me the face. But it's a man in Turkey who's got a lot to thank for that. But listen, Holly. Normally at the end of every episode, it's me who shouts, "See you later." Do you want to? I'm going to put you right on the spot, and do you want to say, put that on your podcast or shit, you're all shit or something like that? But I'm going to let you end it, ladies and gents. Thanks a lot.
You can end it by doing an impression of me.
Yes, do it.
In this, no, I'll add something to that. In the style of Chansiri.
All right, I love it. Style of Chansiri, but something Hollywood say, right?
Yeah.
What? You're all shit.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Thanks a lot for joining us tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. Hey, put that on your podcast. Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week. Bringing you football analysis.
If we play a night game, he has to turn the floodlights on.
Bringing you banter.
Yeah.
Bringing you self-testimonials.
So I just want to be able to talk as much crap.
The Wednesday week. 1, 2, 3, 4 live. Bear in mind, I'm not touching this topic. I'm not touching it.
I'm a little bit older than you.
Like,
That zero's gone, that goose egg's gone.
Now with 100% less Blair. Former child turned current pundit Blair Hardman.
Blair Hard ankles.
Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there for podcasts, etc.
The Wednesday Week 24-25 season. Join us next season.
Put on your podcast.